Hello, my name is Heather Abbott. I'd like to welcome you to Ladies Leading Ladies. Joining me today is Sue Goober and Sherry Danzig. We're going to talk to you about social networking. I'm going to go first, and I'm just going to talk to you about some free tools I have. It's a ratio and a formula that will help you be successful in social networking. So let's socialize. My name again is Heather Abbott, and my social media handle is Lady Self Care if you want to get in touch with me. So today I'm going to show you why our social media presence is important to our business. I'm also going to help you find your target audience. And your target audience is basically your ideal customer. We're going to talk about a ratio for what to post. Your audience is going to lose interest very quickly if what you post about is just naked. So there needs to be variety, and I feel like there definitely needs to be humor to keep your audience and your friends engaged. We're going to go over a formula that's going to make it easy for you to stick to the ratio that I give you. And I'm going to give you some free tools that I actually use to manage my weekly posts because they're fast and efficient. And I am a graphic designer, so I am really picky about these things, but these tools work extremely well. So why social media? First off, there's 71% of Americans actually use Facebook, 78% use YouTube, and 37 use Instagram. And Instagram is especially for the young adults. Most of these users visit these sites daily, if not multiple times a day. The majority of these users report that they have shopped via social media. I know I myself do. Most people trust the recommendations of their friends and peers over traditional advertising. And it's also because Nikon is building their brand. Nikon's global president, Luis Kasuka, and marketing director, Ruben Yescas, has promised that Nikon will be increasing their media presence in an effort to improve brand awareness. The posts from corporate look great, but we also need to be able to go in, like, comment, and share these posts so that we also help them grow the brand awareness, which is good for us and good for our businesses as well. Let's start by knowing your audience. So before you choose which social media platform, because there are so many out there these days, or site you wish to use, you need to identify your target audience. So to do this, just take out a piece of paper and identify your ideal customer. What's their age group? And you usually want this to be close to your own age so that you can identify with them. Are they male? Are they female? Once you know your audience, you can find out which platform your audience uses the most. For example, Facebook or Instagram, Twitter. For this, I actually Googled, and you can do this yourself. You just Google what are the demographics for the different social media platforms. You do want to make sure that the article you use as your reference material is current. I did this and I came up with some graphics like this. But this slide here is current as of January 2020. And so you'll notice that Facebook, for example, has 2.4 billion active users every month. Their ages range between 25 and 29. 75% are women, but the top country is actually India. And I thought that was interesting. YouTube, 2 billion users a month. Ages 15 to 25, 68% women, top country, US. So once you crunch these numbers, and don't let this get scary and make you think that, okay, I'm 55 and I can't go out there and talk to anybody. This is just an overall. So you can even get more specific with this search after you've identified your ideal customer and your target audience. So, for example, here I just simply search what social media platforms do women aged 25 to 55 use most, because this is what I want to target. Those are the folks that I want to talk to. The results are more finite when you use this kind of search, and they include more data such as your geographical location. Once you have your audience and you know where your audience goes to hang out, you can concentrate your efforts on learning how to be effective on that social media platform. So this makes it really a lot easier for you, especially when you're starting out, because you're not trying to learn how to do both Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. You're not having to bounce around all these different platforms. you concentrate on one. So let's talk about social media by the numbers. People visit social media sites to socialize, connect with friends, family, or like-minded people from all over the world. They usually don't visit a social media site to shop, but most will shop when a friend recommends a product or from a source they trust. It's certainly a way for us to connect and educate, support, and build trust without being salesy. And like Barb Satterwhite says in her relationship session, building trust is the foundation of your business. So this ratio is just simply 20-80. Only 20% of your posts should be about business. So how are we going to stick to that? For that, I have what I call the social sciences formula. And that's simply form. And you probably have heard form before. This works for all aspects of your life. It's easy to stick to this ratio when you use form because you're mostly talking about your family, your recreation, and motivation. But your occupation is in there too, and that's where you get in the 20% about naked. One thing to remember is that it's best when you first start out, especially, is to post with consistency, especially when you're growing your audience. So try to do this at least once a day, possibly even 5 times a week if possible. Don't let this become a problem or something that you stress over. You want to have fun with it. So now, as I said, I am a graphic designer, and I'm also a little bit of an amateur photographer. All the pictures you see in this slideshow are pictures that I've taken. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how you can take a great picture or a video that will help you stand out from the rest of the crowd. The first thing I want to mention is that while being a graphic designer, I definitely subscribe to the old axiom that picture is worth 1,000 words. And statistically speaking, posts with pictures garner almost twice as much engagement. But with so many people posting pictures on social media every day, you need to stand out. So I suggest you follow the advice of Drew Rush, who was a photographer for National Geographic. And he simply says, I see a lot of people lining up to get the classic postcard shots in many locations around the world. I know you've seen the placards that say, photo opportunity, or take your photo here. He advises instead to look around, find a different angle or different vantage point that can give your photograph a different feel from all the rest. I never really take just one shot of anything. I take multiple shots. I also move around when I'm trying to capture a subject, get several different angles and several different lighting aspects. So the important part about this is just simply experiment and have fun. So now we're going to get into tools. Free tools, especially that are easy to use, it's what I always subscribe to. And these will help give your post something of a designer's touch. Our first tool is something that nearly everyone has on their persons most of the time. They're definitely not free, but the photo editing software that comes with your phone is definitely free. And it's a great place to start when editing your photos, and it's very simple to use. I'm going to show you how to use the photo editing software in your iPhone and also in a Samsung or Android phone. So first we're going to start with the iPhone because I use an iPhone. When you go into your Photos app on the iPhone, you select a picture and then you click Edit. You're going to get a screen that looks like what you're seeing on the left-hand side of your screen with basic photo editing tools. And I've blown that up for you at the top of the right there. That's in the black bar. And these basic tools are just your crop, your filters, and your adjustments. You use your crop tool to take out unwanted space and to help center your subject and attract attention to your focal point. In the case of this photo, it's the 2 bottles of True Elements facial creams. Let me go back now. And to do that, you'll see the little handles that are on the corners of each of the photo. You just want to grab that with your finger and you just slide it and move it, adjust it to where you get it to how you want it to look. It's quite simple. Now your filters adjust the temperature of your photo. You can make it either warmer or cooler. They can also intensify shadows or highlights. These are great to experiment with. I usually use the same filter for all of my pictures because it gives my gallery, and that's just all the photos that's in a social media platform that you've taken, a more pulled together and planned look. Here I had to make the picture cooler because I wanted to get the True Elements bottles that nice white crisp color that they actually are, the way that they look to the naked eye. So if you don't like the effects of any filters you've done, you've applied a lot of effects and the picture just keeps getting worse and worse, if you'll look down at the bottom of the bar, you see original. You can just click on that and it will reset your photo back to the way it originally looked. Adjustments allows you to edit the brightness, the contrast, the hue saturation, and even change your photo to black and white. So that's also fun to experiment with. But the key point here to remember is that if you get into trouble, you can always click the cancel button, and that will reset your photo back to the beginning. And you can start again or you can leave it alone. So don't be scared by this. Just jump in there and play around with it. You've always got a way to get out of it. Now we're going to talk about the Samsung and the Android phones, which have a similar looking photo editing software. Pictures are housed on these phones in the gallery. You have the crop and the filters buttons, and those are the first two on the, starting from the left. They work the same way as what you can do on the iPhone. Then next you have the icon with the T, which is for type, which is kind of a cool feature in these phones. You can actually put a caption on top of the photo. You can, and then let's go over to the palette and the brush that's next to the type tool. And in this, you can change things like the time and the date that the photo was taken, and you can actually label it. Like, for example, this photo here was taken at the elephant bar, so you could label that. Next to the palette button is the share button, and then next to the share button, you have the trash. Once again, you have the reset button that's up in the top there. You can hit the reset button. That's going to set your photo back to its original state. So don't get nervous. Get in there and have some fun. The next tool that I want to share with you is Adobe Spark. Being a graphic designer, I use a lot of the Adobe tools. And before even being a graphic designer, I worked in web design. So I was very familiar with Adobe Dreamweaver. Adobe Spark is one of my current favorites because it's something I can use when I'm in a hurry or when I'm planning several channels worth of content for the week. You can run the app on your desktop, your tablet, or your mobile phone, and it's completely free. You also have access to several designer templates, stock photos, and my favorite feature, which is automatic sizing for different social media apps. For example, the optimal size for Instagram is 1080 by 1080 pixels. I don't have to actually resize my content. I can go into Adobe Spark and just click Instagram. It will resize it for me without altering my original image. And this is also great for templates for flyers and landing pages. That's something you want to get into. Here are some of the features. I mostly use Adobe Spark for typography because I'm something of a type snob, but type takes a lot of time to work with. So I use Adobe Spark because it makes it quick and easy. You have imagery, the iconic imagery you use to access stock photos, but I like to use my own photos, and this just gives your feel more of a genuine, your post more of a genuine approach, and it also helps you stand out more because it's not a stock image. So take a look at the themes too, the professional themes, especially if you're stuck or need some fresh ideas for flyers or posts. And you can also make short videos, and videos actually are starting to carry more weight than photos. So a little note here is that personal photos from you, especially when it comes from, to your occupation, will attract a lot more attention than just text. Mobile and web or any project you're working on can easily and attractively be resized. This is especially great for me because I travel so much and I can start a project on my desktop and then I can finish it on my iPad or on my iPhone. And this works well also with Windows PC and Android phones. Like I said, I mostly use it for type. So we're looking at this example here. Over on the right-hand side, you have your type bar. You have a primary type and a secondary, and then you have a font family, which I use Playfair for this particular post. You have your different alignment options, left, center, right, and then I like this one here because it kind of aligns all of your text in a nice tight box, and I like that feature. You can change the size of your text, you can change your letter spacing, your line spacing, and the opacity, especially if you want your image to show through like you're seeing in this particular example here. So those are the two tools that I want to share with you today. I want to go back to our formula so that you can remember it. That's simply form, which is family, occupation, recreation, motivation. So you're going to post about your family. We all love doing that. About your recreational activities, and people love looking at those. And of course, a motivational post goes a long way. It's also relevant for us because Nikken is what we call a lifestyle. The 5 pillars of wellness are easily reflected in this formula. I usually even arrange a week's worth of business social media posts based on one of the pillars. A lot of my photos will feature a Nikken product in the background, but I probably won't even reference it in my text. We wake up in a wellness home every day, and we can show that without having to talk about it all the time. This is just exposure. And the more people see something, the more they start to recognize it and get interested in it. So family, occupation, recreation, and motivation. I mentioned all these photos in mine. Under the family, that's my daughter and I. Occupation, this is the Travel and Nikken sports bottle on location in Long Beach on a Netflix docuseries shoot. Recreation, this is actually on the, I think it's the bow of the Queen Mary. She's moored in Long Beach, California, in her bar. That's kind of a cool location. And then I took the last photo off the back of a cable car in San Francisco, and this is one of my favorite Rosa Parks quotes. Knowing what must be done does away with fear. So let's talk about this ratio one last time. Only 20% of your posts should be about business. So you want to keep this fun. Now, a lot of people always ask, when should you post and how much? Right now, there's really no good answer for this because one size does not fit all. But if you want to tailor your schedule to your audience, and I do recommend you do this, you can take a look at your insights. These are examples of insights for Instagram, which is in the upper left, Facebook in the lower left. You can view these on each individual post. You just go into your gallery and you look at the post, and it'll tell you excuse me, what your reach was and how many people engaged with that post. Now on the right, you're looking at a detailed look at the overall performance of a Facebook business page. You can get to this by going to your home page on your Facebook business page and then clicking more underneath the search bar and then insights. So I study these and use these insights to choose my publishing times with my business page. I don't worry so much about this with personal posts, just business ones. You need to check these at least once a week because they do differ and change. And the last thing I want to ask you to do is just to simply have fun. Always have fun with your social media posts because that will come across to your audience.
Okay, hi, I'm Sue Gruber. I've been a Nikken consultant for 14 years, and everything's really kicked into high gear since I learned more about social networking. About 4 years ago, I decided I had to become an online presence, and I started putting things together so that I could build my web. And the training that I heard was you need to build a spider's web on the internet by connecting multiple different areas for your business so that you just reach more people and in a number of different ways. So I do a number of things to get that job done. Okay, so over the years, I've made my Facebook business page, which I had to have a personal page first and made my business page. I've started an Instagram page, a personal and a business page. And then LinkedIn, I have YouTube channel, and I have my own personal blog that I designed. And then, of course, all my Niken websites, my PWP that Niken has given us. And what I do, I make references to all those different areas when I'm making posts on Facebook, on Instagram. So I'm building my web. I do a lot of posting, and what Heather just talked about. I mean, I'm still, as much as I feel like I've learned, I have so much more to learn. And Heather's really a very good teacher, so she has some great ideas. The Adobe Spark that she talked about, I use. I do try to make some of my own ads and design some things myself, but Niken has really stepped up to the plate to help us with our digital marketing too. And so I've gotten in the habit, call it a little bit of laziness, but I've gotten in the habit of going to the Niken International Facebook site to see what they've got new and exciting on there. So that way it's going to be compliant, and that it's you're not going to have to worry about the content of your ad or what you're posting on your social networking sites. But they're done professionally, they're beautiful, they always have a message. Sometimes it's inspirational, sometimes it's businessy or product oriented. So it's a really nice source, and that's really just come on the scene the last few months that they've gotten really good about doing that. But personal photographs, I love inspirational things. I have had a little bit of a challenge going from Facebook to Instagram to LinkedIn because their rules are all different, okay? And don't make yourself crazy trying to figure everything out. But sometimes you go to post one thing on Facebook and you want to post it then on Instagram and it's not the right size, or your video's too long, or blah, blah, blah. So there's this huge learning curve. I highly recommend that you just start doing something and it gets easier. And just remember, you can always delete it. If you don't like what it says or you don't like the way it looks, once you get it up there, just hit the delete button and start over again. But it's one of those things that until you start with your online presence and your social networking, it's hard to really, your business will really just grow and expand that way. I do a lot of personal one-on-ones. I like to, of course, I can't meet with people right now, but the meeting thing, we do a lot of local networking, but the social networking, you have access to just millions of people that you will never meet face to face. So it really is a great venue. And remember that when you grow your followers, that they also have friends and followers. So things do grow exponentially once you start getting out there and getting some followers. And don't be afraid to ask your friends and your family to like and share. And that's it's like a referral. It's a great way to help to build and grow your following. And just remember that the more people you come in contact with, the more people you can help. And I don't know about you, but the nurse in me, I'm always wanting to help other people. So it truly is about how we can help someone make a better choice for their wellness and help them to be the best they can be. Another thing I do, and I started doing this about 3 years ago, is I started advertising on Google. And there's other, I know there's Bing, there's Google, there's a number of different venues that you can advertise on. And I do use, it's what is called pay-per-click, and you write your own ads, and you have a website for your interested customer or person that's looking at your ad, and it's all done by keywords. So it's learning about a little bit about SEOing and developing keywords for your ads, and then sending them to the place where they can buy products. So I do that. There's a huge learning curve on that, but there's people out there that are willing to help you. And so if that's something you're interested in, maybe ask your mentor. I learned from my upline mentor about this and was coached. And like I said, the learning curve is real, and you have to be patient. But that's also another way to help share Nikken products with whoever is interested, who's in need, and the population of people is really growing who wants to be well. Most people are now understanding that it's the prevention, which is a daily thing. It's not something, you're worried about getting sick or you're worried about flu season starting. Well, starting right then and there to be well, I don't know whether that's going to work very well for you or not, but start today, and by flu season next year, you're going to be in good shape. So it's all about being healthy and strong and making healthy choices every day. So the social networking is a great platform for doing that. It can be really expensive if you're afraid to try things yourself, which I highly recommend you do that. Just be patient with yourself and allow yourself that learning curve. But if you do, there's plenty of professionals that can help you do this, but then you're paying for that. So, and it can get pretty pricey. So the benefits and all the special little tips that Heather was sharing with us are fabulous. And it's really a fun way to go. And please have fun with this. But another thing that I've done is I have a number of grandchildren, and a number of them are adult grandchildren now. And my one granddaughter is studying media and that kind of stuff in college. And, find somebody that you think might be interested in helping you. It can kind of be a two-way street. They help you, and then in the long run, you're really helping them, rather, even if it's just building their skills, or there's just ways. Sometimes they can even get credit, use it on a resume. I would be very happy for Hannah to use what she has built for my website for me, as something that she might need to use in school. I don't know. But there's always a way to find some help, whether it's your mentor, whether it's, a family member or a friend that knows how to do these kind of special skills. But the social networking is something that I think is vital. It's it's come more to the forefront now with not being able to be out and as sociable as we're all used to. It's fun to be sociable online. Important part about our social networking, especially on Facebook and Instagram, is continue on the conversation. Build a relationship to the people that are noticing you, that are liking what you've done, that maybe share it with someone else. So that's somebody you wanna thank them for being interested. You wanna find out who they are and what their background is, and start building that relationship. It's a great way to find friends and grow. So I think that's everything. Oh, one more thing, videos. Heather was telling you about making videos and the different apps and stuff that you can do with that. I have found that my videos actually get the most attention on social media. So it's one thing I have to make myself start recording a video. It's not something that I love to do, but the more you do, the better you get. And sometimes the more people like you because you're you, and let them see who you are, and let your personality come out in your videos, and your knowledge. The videos really are a very good way to go. Keep them short, keep them sweet, make them funny. You can be serious, informational, blah, 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 mix them up and have fun with them. But also try the videos for your social networking, because they go over very well. People like to watch a short video, short and to the point. So I think that's everything. Heather can chime in if she needs me to say anything else, but don't be afraid to social network. Don't be afraid to try the different venues that are out there, because they really are helpful, and people look at them. You'd be really surprised.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Danzig. I'm a platinum consultant, and I've been in NECANN for, goodness, like 22 years. So I've done a lot of different things as far as marketing. To be honest, up until fairly recently, I've been mostly, my biggest focus has been offline marketing. So this is new for me. So if it's new for you, I understand. And I think the first thing that you have to do to be successful with online marketing is to make a decision that you're going to do it. What I mean by that, it's not just saying, okay, I'm going to do it. It's like there really has to be some commitment behind it, because there's definitely a learning curve. There's things that you need to learn, and it takes time. It's not as immediate, or sometimes it's not as satisfying, I think, as meeting someone face to face. I think either way, whether you're meeting someone face to face or you're connecting with them online, there's still the whole, sales process. So the statistics say it's somewhere between 5 and 10 or 12 touches before someone is ready to buy, much of the time. Occasionally you find somebody that finds you online, they know exactly what they're looking for, or they meet you at a meeting and they know exactly what they're looking for and they buy right away. But most of the time it's a process. So make that commitment that you really are going to learn to do this. And the first thing that I think is really important, if you're starting this afresh, it's kind of like starting your business all over again in some ways. And you want to think about, what is your brand? What is your personality? Because it really needs to show up online, or otherwise people don't really know how to differentiate you from someone else. So there's lots of us doing NECANN, and we all have our unique personalities. So think about that. What is the brand? What is the way that you want to show up? It might be something about your background. It might be something about your story, or something that is unique to you that you create. So be thinking about that. And you want to be consistent. Whatever you're saying offline, if you're doing networking, you want to have the same messages online. So that's important too. Another thing that is super important with building your brand, building your place, so that people think of you online, is that you have to be consistent. And honestly, that was one of my hardest challenges, is I would start on something, I'd be posting, and then I would stop and I'd get, sidetracked with things offline, and it would take a while before I pick it back up again. So I'm now, with us being right now where we aren't leaving home very much, it's a little bit easier to focus. So this is a good time to start a new project. And really focusing in on building your online brand. Certainly it's not the same touchy-feely experience necessarily, but you can reach so many more people. So it can be super fulfilling for that. So basically you have two choices in how you proceed. You can either do paid ads, which you heard Sue talk about, or you can do more organic, or you can do both. And so if you're paying, of course, then you're, creating some sort of a click to ad kind of a thing. I honestly haven't really done so much of that. but it can be very successful, and you have to be careful that you want to have a budget, because you don't want to spend so much money. You want to get a return on your investment. The other way to do it is more of a time investment, part of it being time that you're learning how to do it. You're not paying somebody else to do it. And the other thing is that the time investment is that to have an organic audience, it means that you're writing or you're speaking. So you're putting some time into that. Some different ways that I recommend that are out there that I'm using really all of these, different ideas, different modalities. One is obviously posting on social media, and I think it's probably a good idea not to choose to do everything, but maybe choose one or two that you're going to really focus in on. Right now I'm doing Facebook and Instagram, and I know that Heather talked about, knowing who your target audience is and where they show up, and, where you're comfortable. Where do you already have a relationship? So think about that. Another platform is to do, and strategy is to do email marketing. And email marketing would mean that you're going to be sending out typically a newsletter, and you can go back to Nikken, and every week they post a newsletter. So a lot of times I'll get my ideas from what they're posting, and then I'll put my own touch to it and make some tweaks to it. But have a newsletter that goes out. What is considered the right amount of time is to do it every week, every single week. So, and I'll talk in a little bit about I'll go ahead and tell you that I use MailChimp for that. And there's other choices there, but what I like about MailChimp is it's completely free up until you have over 2,000 contacts. So having an email campaign, you're going to start with all the emails that you have. You're going to plug those into a list. You're going to create a list, and you actually can create more than one list. So you might have a list of people that are customers and a list that are prospects. Personally, I have one big list, and I mostly just go to that. But there's some strategy involved in creating smaller lists. For instance, if you have someone who's been a customer of the water system, then you might want to have a list with all your customers from water systems, so you can periodically send them a reminder about, getting new filters, or, you're speaking to them as a customer of a particular product. You want to make sure that all of this, I just want to jump in and say this, that none of this needs to be a hard sell. It is about information. It's about entertainment value. It's about having something of value. If you are posting on social media or sending emails out and it's always about sales, people are going to ignore you or unfriend you, or unsubscribe to your newsletter if you're not careful with that. And think about it for yourself. Nobody wants to be sold all the time. So occasionally you can put something in that's an offer. And I think Heather talked about it being an 80-20 rule. So keep in mind, this is about, social. It is a social network, so it should be mostly social. So email campaign is a good thing to do, and you can schedule it. So you might take a day every week where you write some different articles, and then you can schedule them out, in advance. So that helps you to kind of stay on top of it. Another thing to do is to have a blog site, and you can actually create a blog site without having a website, or you can have a blog site on your website. So I'm not talking about your PWP, talking about having a separate website that then can link to your PWP. And the reason to have that, and I've had one for quite a while, is because, again, as I started out saying that you want to have a brand, this is a way to really show your personality. Why are you involved in Nikken? What is your philosophy about it? What are you, how do you show up? How do you want to influence people? And so it really allows you to put your own personal pictures and tell your own stories and create different pages that are unique to yourself. So my suggestion is that you look at some different sites and see what other people are doing, and I'll have that as a resource so you can look at my site. Not that it's perfect by any means, but it'll give you an example. And that's what I did before I set up my website, is I went and looked at some other consultants to get some ideas of what they were doing. So then you want to have your articles. You can take your newsletters and you can then create them into a blog article and post that on your website or on your blog site. And you can make sure that it has SEO, that it's a high SEO. I did this a couple of days ago, and I was posting articles, and it's kind of a fun game to me, because if you're using WordPress and you're posting the article, it'll tell you'll get either a red or a kind of an orange or a green happy face. And so you have to keep changing things that you have to do, keep tweaking the article, maybe, your title, and then the focus phrase needs to be the same. I forget the exact terminology. It needs to show up in the article a certain amount of times. So they're basically giving you tips to make the article more SEO friendly. And, you work really hard until you get that green smiley face. And then you're like, yay, I can move on because I got a green smiley face. So I was doing that a bit. Another thing to do, and this is really popular these days, is to either start a podcast if you're really bold, or, find people that are having podcasts. Because if somebody's hosting a podcast, they're always looking for speakers. They're always looking for people to host. So or to speak on theirs. So that's a great way to get some speaking involved. And that's another strategy, is to look for opportunities where you can be a guest speaker, as I said, a podcast, or for a networking meeting, or different community organizations. They look for speakers. So we can be, as Nikken consultants, we can be an expert in hydration. We can be an expert on sleep. We can talk about energy medicine. The thing I will say, though, is that you really need to give some thought to what you're speaking, so that you're not only talking about the products and being a salesperson, but talking about, more of the, information that people can benefit from, that is, good information about self-care. And I know Dr. Gary and Heather are part of the Tuesday night Healthy by Choice, so you can get a lot of direction from what they're doing. So it's not just about being a salesperson. So those are some different ways that will really help you to get your brand out there. And as I think Sue was talking about, to do some cross-pollination, where you take your blog article from your website and you post it onto social media, and you take things from social media and you go back to reference blog sites that go back and forth, and that's a good thing that Google likes. Everything that you need to learn you can Google it, right? So you can Google everything. You can become your own self-directed student. There's also tons of classes. A lot of them are free. It may be that you find people that are experts out there and listen to their webinar, WebEx. They're probably going to have an offer, and they're going to want to sign you up as a client. You don't have to do that, so it can still be free. But because I think you have to really pick and choose to make sure you're not spending a ton of money and getting trained. So if you'll be patient, give it time, you can do this on a small budget. Some more about that. I mentioned MailChimp, so that's a great resource, and I think there's Aweber is another one that other people use. Another strategy that I have recently been using, it's an organization called Acadium, and they are a international organization where they find people that are apprentices. So they're students most of the time. Some of them are high school students, most of them college students. I've had an apprentice that was in graduate school. And you go onto that site, you sign up for the program. It's a 90-day commitment, and it's about $65 a month, and you get 40 hours of help there. So it's almost like having a virtual assistant or an intern. They're called apprentices. And our job in hiring them is to give them experience in marketing and to give them reviews and give them feedback so that they're learning. And then at the end of the 90 days, then they get a certificate. So it's like helping their resume to get more experience. So, Sue talked about hiring her granddaughter, and, maybe you've got some family members that can help you as well. But if you don't, I have 3 daughters, they're busy. They don't, they're not going to help me like as much help as I needed. So this was a great resource for me, and I've been using it successfully for, several months now, almost a year, I guess. Another one that I use when I need help with getting a design. Heather's a great graphic designer, but you can't always afford somebody. Sorry, Heather, but you can't, sometimes you need to do something on a small budget. There's an organization called Fiverr, Fiverr, and they're a group of international freelancers. And you can get jobs done on that for, it's called Fiverr because it starts at $5 as the base price. But I've had videos edited. I've had flyers developed. Trying to think what else I've had done. I've had branded quotes, and that's a really great thing to have, is that you take your website and you give it to somebody that creates these, it's a pretty picture. So it's a picture and a quote, some inspiring quote, and then it's got your website on that. You see those on social media all the time. So, I just bought, I think I got 3,000, and they're really good. They're really good quotes. They're great pictures. And it was 3,000 of them, and I think I spent $15. So, I'm going to be working on that list for a long time. The last resource that I wanted to share is another organization that's called Royalty. And it's, again, you'll get this in written form, but it's like Royalty, but the end is, instead of TY, it's TIE. So this is a platform where you can, it's kind of like you're paying for ads, so it's definitely something you have to pay for, and it's a monthly subscription. And you can decide what size package that you want. The cheapest package is about $100, maybe a little bit under $100. They send out, so you create ads. You can have 2 or 3 ads based on your package. They send out ads through like Google Ads. They send them to Facebook. You can create web pages on the site. It actually has a CRM. It actually has an email marketing component. So it's kind of a one shop does it all. So if you're looking for something that could be, all together, and you've got the budget to spend, $100 or so, they're using artificial intelligence to generate content as well. So every morning I get an email saying that my social marketing content is available, and then I go on to my Royalty site, and then I can take articles, choose the articles I like, and send them out I send them to Facebook, and I send them to LinkedIn. So that's an investment, but it's a pretty small investment to see, and I'm building my list. So last thing I just want to say is that that's really your goal. That's the whole nutshell of what you want to do on social media, is that you want to build your list. You want to grow your list, because it's not about immediately. If you're paying for click for ads, then you're looking obviously for customers right away. Everything else, it's about building an audience, building a list, so that you're growing that list, so that then when you do make an offer, you've got a nice audience that you can reach out to. So hopefully that's some help to you as far as some different resources that I've been using, and have fun with it. It's fun if you can, again, have a big vision, be patient, and realize that it's going to take many months before you really start seeing a return on investment, but you'll see it.